Chien-Pao was formerly the most dominant offensive force in Gen 9 OU that dictated what was viable and what wasn't. The ability to answer Chien-Pao in some way was imperative for a team to function. But now, Chien-Pao has been banned from OU. With this defining threat now gone, we're about to see some significant shifts in the metagame. Defensive structures built around powerful abilities like Unaware and Regenerator were great and popular already, but now with Chien-Pao banned, who was the strongest wall breaker and offensive threat in the format, they've just indirectly gotten even better. Tier 2 Patron Colton has sent me a team to look at. Inspired by the high win rate of Amoonguss in SPL, he wanted to try and build around Amoonguss himself. This Pokemon was already very solid, but now with Chien-Pao and Espathra both banned, I think it's the perfect time to start using this Pokemon. Let's take a look at Colton's submission and see what we can improve. If you'd like to submit a team for me to look at in a video, become a Tier 2 patron. My Patreon link is in the description down below. Like this video and subscribe to the channel for more informative content about competitive Pokemon. Alright folks, here we are with the original submission from Colton. Thank you again for the support. And we've got some wacky sets going on here. We've got this Amoonguss with special attack investment for the fans at home. It has growth on it, it has hex on it. This is doing 1,000,000 damage to Gholdengo. Now, we'll return to this, but this is fun and novel, and I appreciate something different, so... And plus, there's a little bit of merit to what's going on here. We've got a Hydreigon randomly, which is, I guess, a special threat that hits... I mean, Flash Cannon hits Garganical and Fairies, Terra Fairy people. Draco's big damage. This is going to hit Great Tusk and stuff. We've got Alomomola, who has been used on some decent teams. It's one of the few Wish users. It has Regen, it has Aqua Jet. I actually liked the idea of Play Rough here, because your attack stat is actually... I never knew this, but Alomomola's attack stat is higher than special attack, so... Play Rough will let you click... Your move pool's limited anyway, so Play Rough, honestly, not a bad option on this. It allows you to hit, like, Roaring Moon, which isn't bad. And you can Terra Fairy for a bit more damage. That's honestly, it's okay. We've got a bulk up Great Tusk. This is just a good set. I don't know if people are running full attack on it, but I'm sure it's fine to run full attack. You have the immediate threat of this, plus snowball potential with bulk up. This can be a game ender. It can force the issue a little bit against some teams. And I like the set, knockoff spin. You don't need body press or anything necessarily. And an Assault Vest Greninja. I suppose it's got full special... I didn't even notice this, but it has full special defense. This is fun. This comes in on Gholdengo, I suppose. Plus it can have Wish support and select, like, coverage options. You forgot to put Protean. I'll forgive you this once. I'll forgive you just this once, Colton, but you did forget Protean. I guess you don't want to become Ice type. Maybe you want Turret because you don't want to be Ice type. You want Ghost Resist. Alright, Colton, you thought of everything. I'm the stupid one. I'm the fool. And of course Garganical. You can't go wrong with this set right here. Garganical. That's totally fine. This is completely fine. Now I'll hit you with Jimothy's alterations. Now the team looks quite different. We've kept 3 of the Pokemon. We've kept the Amoonguss, the Great Tusk, and the Garg. But I've gone in a bit of a different direction. I have taken things... What I've done is... I like the idea of the special attacking Amoonguss, but Amoonguss at the end of the day, it's a defensive Pokemon. Gets a lot out of these defensive EVs. And growth, I think, is a complete waste. I think that the reason to use this Pokemon is Spore. 100%. I know in your message you said that Spore is a predictable move. There's so many switch-ins to Spore that just counter it completely, like Garganical and Gholdengo. But I think what the strength of Amoonguss is the threat of Spore and the ability to force those things in guaranteed. That's kind of where Amoonguss shines, where if you're bluffing that you have Spore, you don't actually have it. And what you actually have is growth. If you ever reveal this full moveset, then suddenly your Amoonguss is no longer very good. It doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. There is the bluff of Spore is powerful in itself, but you know, you got to actually have the move. Sometimes you can get it off. Sometimes there's mix-up games with Amoonguss. You have shown them that, okay, I'm going to hex the incoming Gholdengo. You do that a couple times. Maybe the third time, they don't go to Gholdengo. They go to something to try and actually threaten you, like Baxcalibur, I don't know, to try and get you. But that time you Spore. You can throw in a random Spore and get them. There's a mix-up game there. Having the Spore option is very important. And I think that the Hex idea is fine. I'm going to keep Hex here. Foul play is the conventional wisdom, but doing a little bit more damage to Gholdengo and synergizing with more Hex users. Something you said in your message was you want more status users so that Hex does a bit more. So I went ahead and I added more status users. These two, we'll get to that in a moment. Yeah, I like the Hex idea. I think it's no problem. And doing 30 to Gholdengo is enough. Doing 30 to Gholdengo, you will force its recovers if it has it, or chip it beyond repair. If it doesn't have recover, you're chipping it, which is crucial. I also have Black Sludge, because I think that very rarely you want to Terra on Amoonguss with this team. We have a Garganical, we have a Hatteran, we have a Skeledirge. You want to Terra on these three Pokemon 99% of the time. When I was testing, I tried out. So there was technically a version of the team with this, with Leftovers and Terra Ghost. But I found that I never Terra Ghosted, so I did make one alteration here, which is just add Black Sludge. Because something that does come up often is that Gholdengo will trick against you to try and cripple you, and then they'll gain your Leftovers. I think it's way better to actually have Black Sludge as trick insurance. So if they trick, you will give them the Black Sludge, and that's a disadvantage for them. I actually think that comes up more often than Amoonguss needing to Terra, and because if you Terra and you're not poison type, you'll start getting damaged by your own Black Sludge. But I think that the trick situation is more common with this Pokemon than the Terra situation, so I've gone with Black Sludge here. Great Tusk I've kept. Only thing I changed was Terra type Fire, so that you have a surprise immunity to Will-O-Wisp, which can allow you to take out Dragapults trying to Wisp you. Rotom Wash, you can hit them with a knockoff or a spin and then go crazy and win the battle off that. You gain resistance to Ice and Grass, which is nice, so it covers the bases in that sense. I found this probably the most useful Terra type on this particular team. There's a lot of different things you can do, like Water, Steel, Fairy, whatever. Even Dark if you want knockoff damage, Ground if you want Earthquake damage. You can tinker with it, but I think the Terra Fire is worth it for those fringe situations. Same Garganical set. This is a fine Garganical set. Nothing wrong with this one. Terra type Water, I think, is the best option here. And here's where I have deviated a little bit. I added a Hatteran to the team. I think the Hatteran is a nice win condition with Calm Mind. It's a nice Terra user. It's a nice buffer against enemy hazards. Even though you have a Great Tusk, sometimes you want to use this Great Tusk as an offensive resource, and then you lose it early on, and then you don't have any spinner anymore. So Hatteran, a little bit more backup against the hazards. Helps you also come in against status moves that Garganical can't. Maybe Garganical wants to come in against Will-O-Wisp, but then it doesn't want to get Hydra pumped on the way in or something. Amoonguss is immune to Toxic, it's immune to Spore, it doesn't mind Willow, so you're just super solid versus status with this team, with the Hatteran. Skeledirge is the other guy with Hex and Will-O-Wisp. Amoonguss will spread status. Rotom Wash and Skeledirge both spread status, and then Hex becomes better the more status you use. I think this one's logical. It's an unaware user. It helps you defensively. You need a little bit of backbone against boost sweepers. This will help you versus something like a Dragonite, Volcarona, those kinds of guys. Even a Dondozo, you Terra Fairy, you're going to threaten them pretty hard with Torch Song Hex. And Rotom Wash, you want to switch in for Great Tusk. This is ground immunity. It has Will-O-Wisp. It is electric water. You need a water type here. Perfect fit. I think the Rotom Wash helps you pivot. So this is like a balancy defensive team with a couple of... These are your main win conditions of the Hatteran and the Skeledirge and the Great Tusk. These are your forms of offense. And I think that honestly, I was pretty happy with this team, this version. The only thing I really tweaked with the Terra types, I could go through the Terra type iterations. This was originally Steel. I changed it to Fire after some testing. This one was always Water. This one was always Fairy. And I just decided Terra Ghost is fine here, just because maybe you want a spin block in some games, or you want just a Ghost type to round things out. I think that could be nice. Honestly, this was pretty much the first version of the team. I did try Energy Ball. That was the original slot here, was Energy Ball, which is more damage. You can run this if you like. It's fine. But there was one game where I wanted to get the health with Giga Drain versus a Garganical in a 1v1. And that put me at a tiny disadvantage, not having the Giga Drain health, so then I switched to Giga Drain. But Energy Ball's fine too. You can hit Garganical a bit harder as it comes in. You'll be fine with regen. It's not a huge deal. So that's a preference thing. Go for Energy Ball if you like. Now I'll get into some replays. Let's take a look at the team in action. Alright folks, this was the first team. An interesting one. There's a low kicks. We've got Pawmot. Not exactly a meta squad, but there is, Garganical, Valiant, Tusk, Volcarona. Low kicks isn't that crazy. Pawmot is not that crazy. It's a bit unorthodox, but also not the worst example ever. I led with Rotom. We matched up versus Tusk, which was advantageous. Easy Wisp. Rotom Wash just feels so solid in the metagame. So helpful with this Great Tusk. And he's just sacking it to chip this down. Sure thing. Very good trade. I don't think that was worth it at all. We pivot to Great Tusk in this scenario. And he's got no ghost type. This is a folly of my enemy, is the lack of ghost type. Fishes for the flame body chance. Fair enough. But you can simply go to Skeledirge, and Volcarona is owned by Skeledirge in its base form. Against Volcarona, you don't want to Terra with Skeledirge. Until it's dead. Until the enemy Volk has gone. I went to Hat in case of Stealth Rock. Great Tusk didn't have Stealth Rock in this one. I could have kept going on the Carmines there, but with Salt Cure up, wasn't super confident I win the 1v1 there, so Skeledirge is just fine. We ignore the enemy boosts. We click Torch Song. It's very simple. It's extremely simple. Pawmod is going to take enormous damage right there. I didn't want to get parried or anything. I got a Great Tusk. He did click Nuzzle, so being careful pays off. You don't want to get paralyzed. Resurrects the Great Tusk, no worries, it's half health. It's not an issue. Amoonguss is a nice switch in against Iron Valiant. They can hit you with a Psyshock prediction, but you can at least live it from full and then respond and then see if they're specs or not. That's the worst case, and even then it's not too bad because you just regen back. So that's a reason why Amoonguss feels awesome. Valiant is probably going to step up as the new most common offensive breaker now with Chien-Pao gone. Like, Valiant threatens all of the big defensive guys pretty nicely, like especially Specs Valiant. Neutral Fairy damage hits like most of the metagame. Skeledirge you hit with Shadow Ball at least, so Amoonguss feels even more useful than it previously was in the current metagame, in my eyes. And right here I did have Energy Ball. If I'd healed up a little bit, it's pretty useful. But again, not very relevant. I'm switching out anyway. We regen it back. You can get away with running Energy Ball if you like. This is simple. This is a very simple game right here. The enemy, it's kind of a checkmate situation. Unless you got multiple Spit F drops here. That was one way. But even then, I can just switch out back in. No problem, really. We've got a Garganical if everything goes south. Shrug off. Hits from Volk, probably. He did go for the Psychic and a crit. I think Psyshock tends to be more common, but the Psychic crit got me there, but it's no problem. He's running out of steam. The low kicks, I protect in case he locks in a first impression. Axe kick, I didn't know that did that, but sure. We'll spend Terra Water so that we can take this out. We'll Salt Cure the enemy Garg. And here we go. Earthquake. It's a simple end game. You just eventually get him. So there's one example. Not the world's most epic team of all time, I'll admit, but hey, we answered the threats. We did what we could. And here's replay number 2. Against a more standard looking squad, we have Goldango, Rotomwash, Tusk. Meow is becoming more common as well. It was common even in the Chien-Pao meta, but it's great. It can threaten Dondozo, Waters. It has knockoff. It has U-turn. It's very good. Fast offensive pivot guy. And an enemy Dirge. So this is more of a meta squad. Let's see how this one shakes out. Folks, this is the Rotom trick. I wasn't expecting that one. You could actually protect here to scout for this. I didn't think of it at the time, but you can protect here. There's no reason not to. He's likely going to click Volt Switch if he clicks anything. You're not going to get too punished for clicking Protect here, so... Bit of a misplay by Jim that cost me. There was a free Protect situation. But no worries. We'll click Salt Cure regardless. Our Garganical's a bit crippled now. Bit of a disadvantage early on, but hey. I do wonder if I should fit a Covert Cloak Pokemon on the team. You could run it on Great Tusk if you like, or even Skeledirge. Since we have Hatteran, we have a bit of insurance against Stealth Rock. Skeledirge might be able to get away with no boots. It feels a bit dangerous, but I think that you could get away with it. You have both Hatteran and Great Tusk, so maybe Skeledirge with Covert Cloak instead. Goes a little bit nuts. Goes a little bit crazy. I go Hat here. Don't be alarmed about it. And I think I just win right here. We Carmined up. I Draining Kiss this. And I heal all the way back to full. I don't know. I think my opponent really misplayed here because he's got a Skeledirge. I don't know why you don't go to the Skeledirge who has Unaware and also shrugs off a simple Draining Kiss or Psychic. But you went Meowscarada, which doesn't kill, and then I heal all the way back plus kill you. I don't think that was a wise choice. And then my opponent has forfeited. So, Hatteran proving effective. I mean, the enemy did misplay here. He had the Skeledirge, which would have answered this, but Hatteran is a great game ender. It can do stuff like this. It can get people. It's a funny hat Pokemon, and it can do funny hat concepts and things. Now, here's an interesting one. We've got a pretty standard looking squad. There's a Baxcalibur, which maybe is filling the hole that Chien-Pao once filled as an ice type breaker. Honestly, doesn't sound bad. Like a choice band Baxcalibur might be pretty good in now that there's no more Chien-Pao. Like that threatens pretty much everything with like ice and dragon coverage plus ice shard. Doesn't sound too bad to me. But hey, let's take a look at the action. I led with Garganical. I didn't think my opponent would go with a straight up a Hydro Pump. So maybe a bit of a misplay by me. I don't know. Suppose that was an unnecessary risk right there. You could protect. I could have even committed to Terra Water right away. But I did get rocks on the field early on, which does count for something perhaps. And now Amoonguss is inviting in either Goldie or Garg. So we will get a bit of Rock Chip. I went with Giga Drain in case of Garg. It was in fact Goldie entering the premises. Goldie has nasty plotted out. How is Jim gonna handle this one? I was expecting a Make It Rain. So I went with a Terra Water Earthquake. I'm also slower than this particular Goldengo. I'm a slow Great Tusk. So I went with Terra Water to try and block the incoming Make It Rain. But I ended up looking like a buffoon. I go for a bulk up here. We get decent chip damage on this Corviknight. And we're kind of forcing in Rotom again, which is, you know, fun, epic, interesting. We take a burn. Amoonguss doesn't mind getting burned. Most of its healing comes from regen anyway. And this is an example of look how good Amoonguss is at chipping down this Goldie. We're forcing recovers out of it. You only have 8 recovers now in Gen 8, so you can just sort of keep clicking this and be not too bad. You can take a Make It Rain. And in fact, that makes your next switch in much safer because they've nerfed their special attack. In comes Great Tusk, who can now threaten the thing. I went with Bulk Up foolishly. I didn't think that you would allow a simple knockoff situation. I thought that you would go back to your Corviknight. Surely going back Corviknight is the play here. It can't get knocked off again. Opponent went to Rotom. Astute play caught me between my whatever. Caught me slacking. You've pivoted to Baxcalibur. Amoonguss is in a precarious position. But in comes Rotom Wash to shrug off the damage from an ice type attack. If that was a dragon type attack, we might be in a different game right now, but it was an ice type attack. And it's worth noting you cannot burn Baxcalibur. Keep that in mind. If you're in that position, don't click Will-O-Wisp. This guy's got ability, it's immune to burn. We hex the Goldengo on the way in. Look at the way that Amoonguss forces in Goldengo and forces Chip onto it without a care in the world. We've chipped it even further. It's nasty plotted this time. I go to the Dirge. I'll be honest, I didn't expect a straight up Shadow Ball, but we're going to have to accept Dirge defeat. I thought you would recover there. That's okay. Awkward position for me. I'm threatened on everything, but you know how it goes. I went with a knockoff that time. Thought you might go Rotom again. I'm getting owned. I'm getting mixed up. Getting defeated. Really just getting defeated. Pushed around. Made a fool of. But I take this moment to heal up my Garganical, of course. I do take this moment to heal up my Garganical. Was this the Covered Cloak one? Yes. Enemy's got a Covered Cloak on Garganical. I could do the same thing, but the thing is that I would rather do that on the Iron Defense set because you get more out of the Assault Crew immunity when you're Iron Defense. So you can sit and boost yourself up and not worry about long-term damage over time. But on this set with Stealth Rock, you're usually clicking a button and then leaving anyway, so I don't feel like the Covert Cloak is as valuable in such a set. And then I foolishly made Stealth Rock, probably a misplay. In a very roundabout way, I am going to manage to Salt Cure the Garganical. We knock off the Covert Cloak, go back my own... Well, first you go Rotom and take a huge body press. And then, of course, you Hydro Pump and force the Terra Fairy. Then you Volt Switch to Garganical. And now you Salt Cure. What a roundabout way to Salt Cure the guy. Good thing this... I'm playing to... This was honestly bad, because my opponent could have just clicked Body Press. But my opponent clicked Salt Cure rather than Body Press. Body Press would have defeated me. But This is why I like Hatterene as well, because Hatterene is quite nice against Garganical. It sets up on it, it at times 4 resists body press, it blocks Stealth Rock if they have it, and it can shrug off Salt Cure reasonably well because it has Calm Mind and it can Draining Kiss to heal back up. So Hatterene kind of farms Garganical, which is really nice in the current metagame that is honestly a Garganical hellscape. Garganical is the new top dog. Now that Chien-Pao was knocked down, Chien-Pao got taken out, Garganical is the new top dog, so having an anti-Garganical situation is pretty excellent. It's going to be pretty great. Corviknight is about to take big damage from a Mystical Fire incoming. I believe that's deceased. You're out of the picture. You're gone. And Baxcalibur hits 4 times. One more hit and I was gone. There was a chance to lose if you hit 5 times. But we just dodged it. We Draining Kiss all the way back to health. And Hatterene clutching another victory. Hatterene just generally feeling pretty nice to me in the metagame. I don't know about you fellas. I feel like Hatterene's stock is rising as well as Amoonguss stock. And I'll hit you with one more replay, folks. A fellow Hatterene and Skeledirge user. This team is looking pretty standard to me. I lead with Amoonguss in case the enemy goes with Rotom Wash lead or Meowscarada lead. I can hit both of them. And most Hatterene, I go to the Dirge. We took a pretty big Psychic chunk, but that's alright. This Rotom has no leftovers, means it's probably choiced. Which is good info. In comes Amoonguss. And here's what's beautiful about Amoonguss once again. We can Sludge Bomb the incoming Hatterene. I mean, take a look at the team. The only switch-ins to Spore are Meowscarada and Hatterene. Both of them are weak to Sludge Bomb. Amoonguss is amazing in inviting in these things. The options against Spore are very limited. And then once you eliminate those things, then Spore starts to go crazy and get you big value, doesn't it? Isn't that great? In comes Garg. Garg doesn't give a damn about Hatterene or anything that it stands for. Garg doesn't care whatsoever. Garg selects Salt Cure and ignores everything else in life. You look inside that pyramid, what you'll see is a gorilla. And does a gorilla use its mind? No, a gorilla goes Unga Bunga. And it clicks buttons at random. And you'll understand what I'm saying when you see the next click. I click Stealth Rock here. I actually realized after this, the correct play here was to double protect. If I got the 50-50 chance to double protect, the Rotom would not have been able to pivot out and would have died to Salt Cure. But since it can Volt Switch out, it saves itself. I didn't see that, but I foolishly, not only did I not see that, I also selected Stealth Rock against the Magic Bouncer. Very stupid of Jim. I am the monkey inside of the pyramid. It's me. It's me, folks. I don't know if you can tell I'm a bit tired. I'm making some misplays. You have to forgive me. You really have to. Amoonguss is excellent at coming in against Meow. Even if my opponent hit knockoff, I think I can take a knockoff and be alright, and then for the remainder of the game, this becomes my knockoff switch, and knockoff will do minimal damage against something without an item. It's epic, it's interesting. I go with a Spore. I didn't think that you would go to Rotom necessarily, but I didn't think you would go to Hat and allow a Sludge Bomb, so I went with a Spore. And now the enemy goes to Hat again. Gets just straight up eliminated. Look, Amoonguss just took out a damn Hatterene. Can you believe it? Is it just me or is Amoonguss stock through the roof right now? Doesn't Amoonguss feel literally excellent? Or am I just out of my mind? I feel like Amoonguss has risen in the ranks big time. No Chien-Pao to worry about. No problem. And what does Garganical do? Garganical... You just select you just literally mash your head against the mouse or the keyboard or whatever, your phone screen, and whatever button you click, you'll be alright. Just select whatever the hell you want, really. That's what I did here, as I was absolutely banging on my table like a gorilla to make decisions here. So it might seem like I'm being random. It's because I became the monkey inside of the pyramid for a little moment. And then I became, a human being again once I switched out. That's how it goes. Skeledirge able to heal up and then defeat the Rotom. It's Christmas morning. It's Christmas morning, folks. Here's the Tusker. Tusker is about to make a huge blunder and stay in against Skeledirge and get Will-O-Wisped. Tusker is going to make another huge blunder right here and stay in again and get hexed if you can believe such a thing is possible. Tusker really was on their last stand right there. And I feel like the team feels good to Jim. I don't know about you guys. The team feels good to Jim. So there you have it, Colton. Your original team was pretty defensive, so I hope you don't mind the more defensive direction I went in. Yours was much cooler with the Greninja. I think this is going to compete with the metagame. Things are still shifting. We might see adaptations to this kind of thing. Stuff to punish, in particular Garganical. You're going to be wary when using Garganical, because this is public enemy #1 in the metagame right now. Everyone's out to get you. Everyone's running Covert Cloak. They're running like sub Bulk Up Great Tusk, sub Skeledirge with Torch Song, stuff like that that sets up anti-Salt Cure, anti-everything. So be careful of that. But other than that, I think that this team can definitely do stuff. And I was pretty happy with the performance of it. And I'll hit you with a bonus team as well, Colton. Because when I first read your message, this is the team I whipped up. I thought that you said you wanted me to build around Alamomola. I misread you, and the first thing I did was cut the Amoonguss, and then I tried this team out. I thought it was fun, and then immediately I realized, oh dear, I've cut the entire Pokemon he wanted. But I'll throw this one in case you want to try it. I thought that there was a bit of overlap between Alamomola and Amoonguss, so I ended up cutting the Amoonguss. We've got Will-O-Wisp, Hex, similar plan here, but the Hex guy is Goldengo rather than Skeledirge. But we've got Spike stacking Goldengo Ken. I made a similar team with Screamtail, but I actually think Alamomola might be even better because it has regen, and with Covert Cloak you're much better versus Garganical. So this is a bonus team I'll chuck in. And you can tweak this one. I didn't test this one as much because I quickly realized I had to in fact build around Amoonguss, but in case you wanted to take a look. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you later. Thank you to the patrons. If you'd like to send me a team to look at in a video, or request a video topic for me to cover, take a look at my Patreon link in the description for more information. Like this video and subscribe to the channel for more informative content about competitive Pokemon.
The money got different, 'cause of what I'm spending. The money got different,
oh, it's
'cause of what I'm
Patron!
spending.
Whoa!
The money
KO'd
got
by one
different,
hit! It
'cause
scattered
of what I'm
spikes!
spending. The money got different.